Hey guys, it's Tuesday. Um, had an okay day at work. Went to improv class after work. Class went really well. It was a lot of fun. And went out for tacos after that. All very nice. But I got an email from my lawyer today. So, the way divorce works in Colorado, at least, and this is my very bare understanding. This is what's going on with me, I guess, only. Um, so, Gabi filed for divorce, and then that paperwork was sent to my lawyer, and then I had 20 days or so, I think, to respond, which basically means to fill out my half or something of the paperwork. And the 20 days are coming up real soon. So today, my lawyer sent over the stuff that Gabi actually filed and asked me to go through it and tell them what was, if anything was inaccurate or whatever. So this is the first time that I've actually seen the paper that Gabi filed, and it's weird. I mean, I guess it's the only one I've ever seen, but it seems really strange to me. Here are some strange things about it. It's partially typed and partially handwritten, which is really odd. I can tell that a lot of the handwriting is Gabi's because I know her handwriting, so it seems really weird to do it that way. Like maybe somebody else filled it out for her with typing, and then she just filled in the couple of last little things in by hand. It seems really weird. Seems like a strange way to do it. Although it's possible that I don't know. I guess it's possible that she typed it mostly out and printed it off, and then filled in the last couple of things at the courthouse if she filed it in person. But I'm pretty sure you can file it online. I don't know. It seems like a strange mix to me of handwritten and typed out. She has apparently not asked to change her name back, which I don't know is nice. I don't know why I've really been worried about her changing her name. It doesn't seem like it matters very much in the grand scheme of things. Like, if we're going to be separate for the rest of our lives, then what does it matter if she goes back to her maiden name or not? But I don't know. I guess it feels less like she's trying to delete me entirely. So that's something. But there's one part where it asks her to fill in this box, and she wrote in the box that about an incident in which she says that I threw her to the ground. And that never happened. It sounds really violent the way that she wrote it. And I remember the incident in question. I remember it very well. And that part just didn't happen. I did not throw her to the ground. And that seems really bizarre to me that she wrote that it happened when it didn't. But seeing that, I think, and the way that she talked about it, I think maybe it kind of clears things up a little bit for me because I've been somewhat confused about her actions, right? And the way that she refuses to have any contact with me at all, and then the fact that she went straight to divorce with no conversation or anything. And I think I kind of understand it a little better now, because it seems like she's been rewriting history in her mind and making me more of the bad guy. And so in her mind, this thing happened where I threw her to the ground violently. And it never happened in real life, but but to her it seems real. So yeah, I mean, if that had happened, I would definitely understand. So I can understand more of where she's coming from, even if it's not, even if it didn't really happen. At least I can understand where she's operating from. Does that make sense? It's hard to explain, or maybe you guys understand. I don't know. I think I may have talked about it before. I'm not sure if it was in one of these videos, but I've certainly talked about it with my family and a couple of lawyers even, that back before Gabby and I separated, in the first few months of this year, she began behaving really strangely, like just out of character for herself. And I was really confused by it. And it would be like she was just doing things and saying things that didn't seem like things that she would do or say. And when she did say stuff, it was like not how she talks. She would start saying things that are like just not the way that she says things. I don't know how to explain it. I lived with her for so long. It's been so much time with her. Like, I know how Gabby talks, and she started saying things that just didn't sound like her at all. And then, and this is important, she started saying things that didn't align with my experience of reality. Just didn't make any sense to me. That she would talk about things that she said had happened, but that just didn't, that was not the thing that I lived through, even though we were together for it. Right? It seemed kind of separated from reality. And so, right at the end, right before we separated, I began to be worried that she was going through a manic episode. Now, I've been diagnosed bipolar. The words "I am bipolar" are complicated, but I've definitely read about it a lot. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a mental health professional, but I am somebody who's read a lot about mania, and I know that those sorts of things can be signs of a manic episode. So I began to be worried that she was going through that. But, it's a hard thing to just say. It's a hard thing to just say, I think you're going through a manic episode. Especially because I don't know that I'd ever seen her in one before, in 8 years. So it's hard to just kind of pull that out. So I was thinking about it, but I was thinking about, how do I bring it up? Do I even need to bring it up? And then, boom, separated, not allowed to talk to her, can't bring it up. Can't bring it up. I told my my first lawyer about it, that it was a concern of mine, and I said, is there any way that we can bring this up at all? And she said no. So yeah, can't bring it up at all. But the stuff that I saw today makes me worry even more about that. It just the invention of being thrown to the ground. It's bizarre. It's really out there. It's very confusing. Yeah, and it makes me worried. And I have two other worries that are similar. But they're all around this thing where she wrote that I threw her to the ground, and that literally never happened. Never once did I ever hurt Gabi physically. For sure, never, never, never. It never happened. It never fucking happened. Right, but some other things that I'm worried about. I have worried about for a while now people telling her that things were worse than they are. Now, look, I know that some of this stuff sounds like a lot. Like I'm trying to minimize my own stuff, or like I'm trying to blame other people. I know what it sounds like, but I am truly and honestly just trying to figure out what Gabi's going through. I know that there's not much I can do. I know there's nothing I can do. All right? But I don't want bad things to happen to Gabi. I don't want her to hurt. I don't want her to suffer. I don't want her to be misled. I don't want her to make bad decisions. I want her to do what's right for her. And I want her to have the best life that she can have. And I am worried that she is manic right now and that she is separated from reality. And I know that in that state, people make really bad decisions. They blow their whole lives up. They destroy everything because they have a mental illness. And I don't know if Gabi has it. I can't know that. But it terrifies me that I can't tell her that I'm worried about it. I can't tell her friends that I'm worried. I can't email a friend and be like, look, friend, I am worried about Gabi. I noticed these signs of mania before we separated. Can you please just look after her? Can't say that. So there's nothing I can do but watch it from here and be terrified. And so yeah, another thing is like, so there's a thing where people who have been abused, okay, they are often told that that they're told to watch out for minimizing it, right? Abuse victims will often minimize the abuse that they faced for a number of reasons, but they'll often, convince themselves that it wasn't as bad as it was. All right, so I am worried that if Gabi, because one of the things that happened, toward the end of our relationship was she would start accusing me of abuse, and when I would ask her about abuse, she would be unable to tell me about it. It was really weird. In any case, if Gabi believes that she has been abused, then a lot of the advice that she's going to get, okay, from a whole bunch of different sources, okay, from online articles, from domestic violence organizations, things like that. If she believes that she has been abused, then a lot of that advice is going to be telling her, that she is minimizing it, so she needs to see it as being worse. So she could take. I'm sure that's good advice for victims of abuse. But if that advice is followed by people who shouldn't be following it, then it could convince them to invent abuse when none happened, such as writing that I threw her to the ground, which never happened. So yeah, I'm worried that she's been seeking and getting and following bad advice because because entities that may very well have good intentions are simply being misused here. And then third, I am also worried that she has told the story over and over and over, and each time she tells it, it gets slightly more embellished until she has now convinced herself that I violently threw her to the ground, even though the story can't have started that way, because that never actually happened. But in this storytelling thing, I have been worried, or had been, and I don't know if I've said it in these videos, but I've certainly said it to other people, that some of Gabi's weird behavior that I noticed before our separation, it was very strange. She said things, she came to conclusions that I don't think she would have come to on her own, and she said things in ways that are like not the way that she talks. But some of the things that she said and some of the conclusions that she came to sounded like some of the friends that she has recently gotten close to. And let me say that I love that she has friends, and I like her friends very much. And I think that they're all good people. But they are all social workers. And social work is fantastic. It should be paid more. More people should be social workers. But there is a view of the world that the education and work that social workers do, it leaves you with a certain perspective on the world. And they often, in my experience, share a way of thinking about things and talking about things that is more in alignment with what Gabi was saying than the way that Gabi, who is not a trained social worker, usually talks about things and thinks about things. So there was a feeling, I had a feeling toward the end of our relationship, right before we separated, that a significant portion of the stuff that Gabi was saying to me seemed to be a performance for someone who wasn't there. That's what it felt like. I know that is an odd statement, but a lot of it to me seemed like what a social worker would want her to do rather than what she decided to do on her own. And that's it's a big statement. And a lot of this stuff is hard to defend. And I have worked this to death in my brain, trying to make sure that I am not minimizing what I did. I'm not minimizing my own role, that I'm not inventing things, that I'm not making stuff up. And I just really don't think I am. Now, it's possible that I'm way off base. I don't know. I never got to actually ask Gabi any of this stuff or talk to her about any of it, but there are ways that social workers talk about things, okay? They, like any field, there's a jargon, there's a certain sort of pattern to the way that they talk. That whenever I've spent time around Gabi's friends, they very much fall into that, because, like as I said, they are all basically, so many of them have studied social work, that language patterns, those language patterns are common in between them. And there are certain ways that certain ways that social workers or articles about social work will have you structure things that you say. And a lot of it was a lot of the weird stuff that was like not how Gabby talks seemed to be in that dialect. And it felt more like it was being performed, even though it was only the two of us there. Gabby and I had several discussions that felt like she was performing for somebody. Super weird. Super weird thing to say, super weird thing to be thinking at this time. But yeah, let me reiterate that I like her friends. I want her to have friends. I wanted to have those friends because they seem like good friends. But part of me is worried that Gabby is saying things and embellishing stuff and making decisions based on what she thinks is going to get her more clout in the group. Like if she comes up with this story in which I violently throw her to the ground. Like if she says that story and then divorces me, they're gonna think that she's like a strong and independent and powerful woman, and that they're gonna want to be her friend even more. And so I know that's a crazy thing to say, and it's a lot to kind of be accusing Gabby of. And I don't know if any of this shit is true. But these are three things that I thought about before we separated, and that I had some thoughts about after we separated. It's just the way that Gabby acted in the very beginning of this year, and the way that she acted right after we separated. And then now reading this document, I'm going off of like a sentence in a document too. So that's kind of a lot, maybe 2 sentences in a document. So there's a lot of grasping at straws here. But those are 3 things that I am really worried about and have been worried about for a long time. And I never got to bring them up because they all sound crazy. Because they all sound like a lot to say out loud to somebody. It's a lot to say to somebody, especially somebody who has somebody who has difficult experiences with mental health resources. It's a lot to say to them that you think they're going through a manic episode and are slowly becoming separated from reality, and you want them to seek help. That is a lot to say. So I hesitated too much, and I never got to say it to Gabby. And it is a lot to say that whatever counselor or AI tool possibly, or whatever Gabby is talking to, seems to be pushing her further away from reality rather than helping her back to it. That is a lot to say to somebody without sounding like you're trying to manipulate them into not getting help. And it is a lot to say to somebody that you feel like they are performing some kind of act for their friend group that is damaging your marriage. That is a lot to say to somebody. So I never got to say that to Gabby either. But yeah, apparently since we've been separated, she has rewritten history to turn me into some kind of violent guy. Violent guy who throws her to the ground. And frankly, I cannot believe that happened. I cannot believe that she is so disconnected from reality that I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. I never threw her to the ground. I was never violent with Gabi. I absolutely never hurt her. Never laid a hand on her. And I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine where. I can't imagine where her head is that's what's going on with her. But it does explain the fact that she has painted me as it does explain why she won't talk to me, and it does explain why she just wants to get divorced, I guess. And it is incredibly defeating to have so much of everything that you care about getting kind of ripped away over whatever Gabi's going through. Well, I thought this was going to be a short video. I definitely did not expect to talk about that for 27 minutes. Let's see if we can do a real quick purpose list. Things that made me feel purposeful today. Things that made me feel purposeful today. I made this coffee roulette thing at work. I don't remember if I've talked about it before, but it randomly selects somebody from the marketing department and invites them to go have coffee. And I had the second one of those ever. Today, I was with an intern named Andy. And you know what? It was nice to just talk to somebody for 30 minutes. It was great. I really enjoyed just talking to somebody for 30 minutes. It went pretty well, I think. And then the improv class went really well. I felt free and fun there. And then went out for tacos after, and that was about an hour. And once again, it felt good to just kind of hang out with people and talk to them. So that was all great. What's going to make me feel good tomorrow or purposeful tomorrow? I've got another one of those coffee roulette things. They happen at a rate of one per week, but Andy asked to move hers from last week to this week. So tomorrow I will be just having a short conversation with somebody named Caitlin, and I'm looking forward to that. I've also very nearly finished my workbook, Data Science Identity Workbook. I haven't given it a name yet, and I'm going to have to because I might finish it tomorrow. And that's going to feel really good, I think. Okay. I know that was quick, and I'm not looking forward to tomorrow as much as I wish I was, but we'll see how it goes, and I will report back. All right. Bye.